It's funny. Usually when we look at the banking app on our phone
Hmm.
or pull a physical banknote out of our wallet, there's this expectation of just like solid, unshakable reality.
Oh, absolutely. It feels like physics.
Right. That $20 bill is $20. We treat the whole concept of money as this permanent law of nature. But then you step into the world of alternative socioeconomic philosophy, and suddenly that concrete foundation looks, completely fragile.
Totally.
We're looking at a landscape today where the very concept of money is honestly kind of an illusion.
Yeah, it functions entirely as a collective hallucination. I mean, when you strip away the institutional layers of, what makes a global currency actually function, you're left with some very uncomfortable questions about what actually holds human society together.
Yeah, for sure.
If we all woke up tomorrow and just stopped believing in the value of the paper in our wallets, the entire global structure would just halt.
It's terrifying when you really think about it. And today, for you listening, we're dissecting a radical proposition that forces us to confront that exact fragility. We are diving into two truly fascinating texts written by an author named Su Feng back in March of 2023.
Right.
And these sources, they outline this highly unique socioeconomic framework. The author proposes completely replacing the traditional global currencies we use every single day with this morality-based, behavior-driven heavenly currency.
Which is just a wild concept.
It really is. Like, what if we abolished all fiat money and replaced it with a ledger backed entirely by human actions?
So we are specifically examining two translated documents to understand this concept. The first one asks a pretty fundamental question. It's titled USD, Bitcoin, or F-Coin, which is more powerful and has a better future.
Catchy title.
Yeah, and the second one serves as sort of the operational manual, and that one is called the Acquisition and Consumption Algorithm of the F-Coin.
And real quick, to be totally clear for everyone listening, our goal today isn't to, endorse or debate the validity of this author's specific worldview or, any of the organizations he mentions.
Right, we're just analyzing the text.
Exactly. We're just using his text as a lens to explore this wild concept of behavior-based economics.
Yeah.
We're neutrally unpacking the ideas exactly as the author laid them out. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Because before we can even begin to understand the author's radical solution, this F-coin, we first have to understand his stark, really uncompromising critique of the money you and I use to buy groceries.
Right, because the text begins with a very deliberate deconstruction of the fiat currencies we're all familiar with. So, the US dollar, the euro, the Chinese yuan. Swifting argues that the entire foundation of these traditional global currencies rests on a single, highly vulnerable pillar, and that pillar is credit.
Right.
It's all about the trust placed in the issuing government or the central bank. That credit is literally the only thing preventing the currency from reverting to mere paper or, just meaningless digital data.
The argument basically being that once that institutional credit weakens or worse, collapses entirely under political or economic pressure, the currency just evaporates. It has absolutely no intrinsic value to save it.
Exactly. And the author gives a very specific historical example to kind of ground this critique. He points to Zimbabwe to demonstrate how quickly a social contract can just dissolve.
Oh, this part was staggering.
Yeah, so in 1993, the text notes that 150,000 Zimbabwean dollars could buy you a full villa in the capital city of Harare.
A massive real estate asset.
Right, a whole house.
But then you fast forward to 2009.
Yeah.
Because of rampant hyperinflation and the complete collapse of government credit, that exact same amount, 150,000 Zimbabwean dollars, could only buy a single roll of toilet paper.
It's crazy.
It is a chilling illustration of what happens when the collective belief in an institution just shatters. You go from owning a home to buying a bathroom supply with the exact same numbers printed on the currency.
And what's vital to understand about Shuifeng's philosophy here is that he doesn't let modern digital alternatives off the hook either.
Right. The crypto bros are not safe.
Not at all. He applies the exact same critical lens to encrypted virtual currencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Polkadot. He completely rejects the idea that decentralization somehow solves this fragility problem.
Which is interesting because people usually assume that because government credit is fragile, decentralized crypto is the inherent answer. But the text argues that while fiat relies on credit, cryptocurrencies rely purely on recognition.
Yeah, and he draws a direct historical parallel between modern cryptocurrency and the 17th century Dutch tulip bubble.
Classic economics example.
Exactly. The logic presented is simple but really sharp. Basically, if people collectively recognize the value of a Bitcoin, it becomes more precious than gold. People will trade enormous amounts of real-world resources for it.
Huh.
But if that collective recognition fades, if the market sentiment turns, it's nothing more than a bubble on the water.
Yeah, the text says once that psychological bubble bursts, it collapses in an instant, causing millions to lose everything, and the currency becomes worth, quote, less than dirt.
Less than dirt.
It really makes you think about modern global economics as nothing more than a shared hallucination. It only works because we all wake up every morning and agree to believe in it. But I want to challenge the premise here for a second.
Go for it.
If fiat is a hallucination based on credit,
Right.
and crypto is a hallucination based on recognition, does Shuefeng actually offer a tangible alternative? Like, how is his solution a morality coin any more solid than the money in my bank account?
What's fascinating here is how the author uses these historical crashes to build the case for a completely different kind of ledger. He argues that as long as currency is tied to external, mathematically arbitrary systems, whether that's a central bank printing money or a decentralized network of computer miners solving equations, it will always be fundamentally fragile.
Okay, so what's the anchor then?
His solution is to back the currency with the only thing a human being truly owns, which is their own behavior.
Wow, okay. And that brings us to the introduction of the F-coin. This is where the text moves from deconstructing our current reality to proposing this indestructible alternative.
Right, so Shuifeng defines the F-coin as a heavenly currency. It's described as existing in a state somewhere between reality and virtuality.
So I can't, like, go to the store with it.
No, exactly. You cannot circulate it in the normal market. You can't use an F-coin to pay off your mortgage or buy a cup of coffee at the corner store.
The defining feature here is the complete removal of a central printing press. The text explicitly states, you are the printing press. The currency is generated entirely by your words and your deeds.
Yes.
And because it's inextricably linked to your personal morality, it is completely immune to the vulnerabilities of traditional money. Like, a Wall Street crash cannot wipe out your F-coins. Financial institutions can't cheat you out of it, and thieves cannot steal it.
Because even if the record of your F-coins is stored digitally on your phone, the text notes that no trick or hack can take it away from you. No one else can spend it because it is intrinsically tied to your identity.
It's completely non-transferable.
Exactly. It fundamentally cannot be used for collateral or bank loans. It steps entirely outside the traditional exploitative financial system.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. You are not amassing these F-coins to build a stock portfolio or to pass down generational wealth. The ultimate purpose of this currency is entirely singular.
There's one goal.
One goal. The goal is to amass exactly 5,000 F-coins. That is the magic number. And when you hit that threshold, you gain entry into what the text calls a paradise on earth. It's called the kingdom of the greatest creator.
This is the moment where the author's socioeconomic philosophy merges completely with utopianism.
Yeah, it takes a massive turn.
It does. The text promises that if you accumulate those 5,000 F-coins and enter this kingdom, your entire baseline of survival is guaranteed. All basic living conditions are provided for you indefinitely.
And it paints an incredibly vivid picture of what this paradise actually looks like. It says you will never have to worry about food, clothing, shelter, or transportation again.
None of it.
There's no unemployment to stress over, no loneliness, no theft, and no fraud. It even claims you won't have to worry about the natural human cycles of aging, illness, and death.
Which is quite the promise.
Right. It offers total, absolute security against the anxieties of human existence.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the author is essentially gamifying salvation. He's taking the modern socioeconomic concept of universal basic income, where all your material needs are met without traditional labor, and he's blending it with a highly structured spiritual utopianism.
That's a great way to put it.
You earn your way into a post-scarcity society not by hoarding capital or exploiting labor, but by proving your moral worth through a highly specific behavioral algorithm.
And there is this highly specific, very colorful quote from the text describing the lifestyle in this paradise that completely illustrates the appeal.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about.
It's so vivid. It says that once you are there, being a bridegroom every day and a bride every night is not a problem.
Yeah, it really emphasizes that it isn't just about surviving. It's about an abundance of joy and connection.
Totally.
It addresses the core psychological burden of modern existence. I mean, Most of our lives are spent laboring simply to secure our future against poverty or illness. The F-coin system proposes a mathematical threshold where that dread is permanently mathematically eliminated.
So if the ultimate reward is the post-scarcity paradise, where you never have to worry about rent or illness again, the math behind getting there becomes incredibly high stakes.
Very much so.
Like, how does the author actually quantify a good deed? What is the literal exchange rate for human behavior?
So the companion text, the acquisition and consumption algorithm of the F-coin, outlines the exact mathematics.
They give you the actual numbers.
They do. It's a literal, rigid ledger of good deeds broken down into specific categories of action.
Okay, let's break down how you actually print this currency. The text offers several avenues, starting with what we could call ideological distribution.
Spreading the word.
Right. If you distribute specific foundational materials related to this philosophy, so there's a web page called Chat Planes, or a document titled 800 Values for New Era Human Being, 3rd edition, you earn F-coins based on your reach.
And the math is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, sharing it with 10 people gets you 1 F-coin. Reach 100 people, you get 10 F-coins.
Then there's a category that directly bridges the gap between traditional fiat currency and this heavenly currency.
Oh, the donations.
Exactly. If you make a financial contribution to the Lifechanyuan International Family Society, which is the specific organization associated with these texts, you earn F-coins based on the dollar amount.
So wait, what's the exchange rate there?
Donating $5 earns you 1 F-coin. Donating $100 earns you 20 F-coins.
Okay, because you can just buy them, essentially. But you can also earn through physical labor.
Right.
Volunteering specifically for the paradise, the Kingdom of the Greatest Creator earns you 2 F-coins for a day's work. But interestingly, the system does reward broader altruism. If you volunteer for no pay anywhere else in the world, you still earn 1 F-coin per day.
Which is a nice touch.
And participating in natural disaster rescue work, that gets you 2 F-coins a day.
Where the algorithm reveals its deepest values, however, is in what we might call the high-value actions. These are the massive payouts in the ecosystem.
The jackpots.
Exactly. If you save someone from the brink of death, regardless of the reason, you're awarded an immediate 100 F-coins.
That's a huge bump. And you can get that exact same 100 F-coin payout another way, which I found fascinating. You get it by helping what the text calls outstanding people out of difficulties in life.
And they defined who that is, right?
Oh, they provide a very specific list of who qualifies for this outstanding status. It includes scientists, musicians, professors, doctors, thinkers, entrepreneurs, writers, famous craftsmen, singers, and dancers. Help one of them out of a jam, and you print 100 F-coins.
Placing cultural and artistic contributors like, singers, dancers, and craftsmen on the exact same pedestal as scientific or medical achievement is a really fascinating sociological choice.
It really is.
It dictates that art and thought are just as vital to the survival of utopia as medicine.
I love that aspect of it. But I want to heavily push back on the mathematical equivalencies happening here because it reveals a massive paradox in the text.
Okay, what do you mean?
Let's do some quick mental math based on the exact exchange rates the author provided.
Yeah.
You just noted that saving a human being from the brink of death earns you 100 F-coins.
Right.
But earlier, the text stated that a $100 donation to the society gets you 20 F-coins. If we scale that up, a $500 donation earns you 100 F-coins.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the math is entirely consistent with the algorithm provided in the text.
But think about the implications of that. Saving a human life equals 100 F-coins. And simply donating $500 equals 100 F-coins.
That is quite the equivalency.
It reveals that even in a proposed utopian alternative to money, you cannot escape the gravity of financial capital. The system accidentally admits that buying your way into heaven is much faster and much safer than actually doing the hard, dangerous work of pulling someone from a burning building.
Right.
It creates a striking equivalency between human life and $500.
It's a profound irony. It shows that while the system claims to be a total departure from traditional money, it still quantifies moral actions in ways that perfectly map back to fiat currency. It's reminiscent of historical practices where individuals could purchase indulgences rather than earning spiritual grace through deeds. But, a crucial overarching mechanism in all of this, whether you are donating money or saving a life, is the burden of proof.
Yes, this isn't a mystical ledger.
No, not at all.
The text is incredibly clear that none of this relies on some omniscient deity watching your every move from the clouds and automatically updating your score. You must provide, quote, conclusive evidence of your deeds. You have to bring the receipts.
Literally.
Yeah. If you have the evidence, a certificate is physically or digitally issued to you.
It necessitates the creation of a massive bureaucracy of morality. You're submitting proof of your righteousness to an administrative authority in order to be credited. It basically turns good deeds into an audited accounting process.
So what does this all mean for the person who has actually pulled it off? Let's say you, the listener, have ground out your 5,000 F coins. You've submitted your evidence, you've crossed the threshold, and you are finally living in the kingdom of the greatest creator.
You made it.
Your basic needs are met forever. But are you safe? Can you lose this paradise once you're in?
This is where the philosophy takes a very rigid turn. The text transitions from the acquisition of the currency to the consumption, or rather, the deduction algorithm.
Hundreds.
Right. It outlines a highly structured penal code within the F-coin ecosystem. Just as your behavior is the printing press for your wealth, your flaws are the engine of your own poverty.
And the cost of bad behavior is broken down with the exact same mathematical precision as the good deeds. For instance, harming the environment has a cost. Killing a wild animal, including a wild bird, will instantly deduct 1 F-coin from your balance.
Interpersonal conflicts are also heavily taxed. Quarreling with someone deducts half an F-coin.
Half a coin just for arguing.
Yep, and if that escalates into physically fighting with someone, it will consume 2 F-coins. Property crimes like stealing someone else's property are also penalized at exactly 2 F-coins per incident.
And the penalties scale up steeply for malice and severe harm. Insulting or framing someone will consume 5 F-coins. And the absolute most severe penalties listed for personal violation, injuring someone, or raping someone will consume a massive 100 F-coins per incident.
This raises an important question about how the society structures its values, because nestled among these penalties for theft and violence is a very specific structural rule regarding hierarchy.
Oh, this part was wild.
The text explicitly states that if a student reports a teacher, if a disciple reports a master, or if a child reports a parent, it will cost the person making the report 10 F-coins.
Wait, let's really look at the scale of that. Getting into a shouting match costs half a coin. Stealing someone's personal property is a 2-point deduction. But a subordinate reporting a superior is a 10-point deduction.
It's massive.
It is 5 times more costly to report a teacher than it is to steal. How does a society enforce a rule like no theft if the subordinate classes are financially penalized for reporting crimes committed by their bosses or mentors?
It mathematically discourages the questioning of authority. Sociologically, this kind of rule explicitly protects the established hierarchy and the power dynamics of the community.
Absolutely.
Even in a post-scarcity utopia, the system is designed to heavily fine whistleblowers, ensuring that authority figures remain insulated from the very morality algorithm they govern.
It's an incredible deterrent against speaking truth to power. And just like earning the coins, losing them requires someone to provide evidence of your infraction. If the evidence is there, the text says the amount is instantly deducted from your heavenly treasure.
And there are real consequences to that.
Oh yeah. Here is the ultimate terrifying consequence. If your balance ever drops below 5,000 F-coins due to these penalties, you are immediately expelled from the kingdom.
You lose your housing, your security, everything. You are cast back out into the standard world, forced to navigate the fragile systems of fiat and crypto once again, until you can grind out enough F-coins to earn your way back in.
It sounds exhausting.
It is a constant, precarious tightrope of moral perfection.
The author does note that these specific rules for acquiring and consuming F-coins are set in stone and will not become outdated as of March 2031. At that point, he says more detailed rules will be introduced, leaving the future of the algorithm open to expansion.
To synthesize what we've explored today, Schweffin's texts operate as a radical critique of our current global systems. By highlighting the fragility of credit and fiat currencies and the reliance on mere recognition in crypto, the author forces us to confront the arbitrary nature of what we consider valuable.
Yeah.
And in response, he proposes this immutable ledger where value is intrinsically linked to actions.
It forces a mirror up to how we as a society quantify good behavior, but it also reveals the intense rigidities. The mathematical irony of valuing life against capital and the massive bureaucratic surveillance required to maintain a morality ledger.
It proposes a world where your character is your currency, but simultaneously warns us about the dangers of auditing human nature.
Which brings us to a final thought experiment. I want to leave you with something not mentioned in the text, but something for you to mull over on your own.
I like where this is going.
Think about the technology we have right now. Imagine if a modern government or a massive tech giant actually tried to implement a literal F-coin system today.
Oh, man.
Right. They use blockchain to create the immutable ledger. They use AI algorithms, your smartphone data, and ubiquitous camera surveillance to perfectly track every single good deed, every rescued animal, and every half-point quarrel.
It's totally possible.
If you gamify human morality to that extreme degree using modern tech, would it create the ultimate peaceful utopia the author envisions? Or would it result in the most inescapable, stress-inducing digital surveillance prison ever conceived?
It really highlights an incredibly fine line between a paradise of guaranteed survival and a society where every single human interaction is mathematically monitored for compliance.
It makes you look at that $20 bill in your wallet, that fragile shared hallucination we started this conversation with, and wonder if maybe its very lack of moral judgment is the only thing keeping us free. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.